What if I told you that in the world's largest economy, the so-called land of opportunity, there's a crisis hiding in plain sight? While politicians paint pictures of prosperity, millions of Americans are living a nightmare that completely contradicts everything we've been told about the American dream. Welcome back to Rukifelo. I'm your host, and today we're diving deep into one of America's most uncomfortable truths: the homeless and poverty crisis that's tearing apart the fabric of this nation. And yes, we'll talk about how recent political decisions are making everything worse. America, the land where dreams come true, right? Where anyone can make it if they just work hard enough. Well, let me paint you a different picture. Right now, in 2025, over 650,000 Americans are experiencing homelessness on any given night. That's more than the entire population of some countries. But here's what's really shocking. This isn't just about people who gave up or made poor choices. We're talking about working families, veterans who serve their country, students drowning in debt, and seniors who work their entire lives only to find themselves on the streets. Let's zoom in on California, the state that's supposed to represent the pinnacle of American success. You know, Hollywood, Silicon Valley, tech billionaires. But California also has the largest homeless population in the United States, with over 180,000 people without homes. In cities like San Francisco and Los Angeles, the median home price is over $1 million. $1 million. A basic apartment can cost $3,000 to $4,000 per month. Now, think about this. If you're making minimum wage in California, which is about $16 per hour, you need to work over 100 hours per week just to afford a basic apartment. That's impossible, right? This isn't just about housing costs. It's about a system that's completely broken. In Los Angeles alone, there are entire tent cities stretching for blocks. These aren't temporary camps. They're becoming permanent communities of people who simply cannot afford to live in the place where they work. But here's what the media doesn't show you. Walk through downtown Los Angeles, San Francisco, or Seattle, and you'll see something that looks more like a humanitarian crisis than the world's wealthiest nation. Families living in cars, elderly people sleeping on park benches, children going to school from homeless shelters. I've seen reports of teachers living in their cars because they can't afford rent in the districts where they work. Nurses, firefighters, and other essential workers forced to commute 2 or 3 hours each way because they can't afford to live where they serve their communities. And it's not just California. This crisis is spreading across the nation like wildfire. Now, let's talk about how recent political decisions are adding fuel to this fire. Since taking office, President Trump has implemented several policies that are hitting working Americans hard. The new tariffs on imported goods might sound good in political speeches, but here's the reality. American consumers pay these costs. When you slap heavy tariffs on goods from other countries, prices go up. And who gets hurt the most? The people who are already struggling to make ends meet. These tariff policies are essentially a tax on American families. Your groceries cost more, your electronics cost more, everything costs more. For families already living paycheck to paycheck, this could be the difference between keeping their apartment or ending up on the street. What's particularly frustrating is how these policies ignore the interconnected nature of our economy. When you make it more expensive for businesses to operate through tariffs and trade wars, they cut costs elsewhere. What do you think those cuts happen first? Jobs, wages, benefits. Small businesses, which employ millions of Americans, are getting squeezed from both sides. Higher costs for materials and goods, and customers who have less money to spend. It's a recipe for economic disaster that will push even more people toward homelessness. Let me tell you something that statistics can't capture: the human cost of this crisis. Behind every number is a person with a story. A mother trying to keep her children safe while living in a car. A veteran dealing with PTSD who can't afford both medication and rent. A college graduate with $100,000 in student debt, working 3 jobs and still unable to afford a place to live. This isn't just about economics, it's about the soul of America. How can we call ourselves the greatest nation on earth when our own citizens are sleeping on the streets while empty luxury condos sit as investment properties for foreign billionaires? The American dream promised that hard work would lead to prosperity. But what happens when hard work isn't enough? When working 2 or 3 jobs still leaves you homeless? When getting an education puts you so deep in debt that you'll never recover? We're witnessing the largest wealth inequality in American history. While tech CEOs buy $100 million mansions, teachers are living in their cars. While politicians argue about billion-dollar military budgets, American families are rationing insulin and choosing between medicine and food. This isn't just a policy problem, it's a moral crisis. And it's getting worse every day that we ignore it or pretend it doesn't exist. The solutions exist. Other developed countries have figured out how to provide affordable housing, healthcare, and education without destroying their economies. But it requires admitting that our current system isn't working for millions of Americans. What do you think? Have you seen this crisis in your community? Do you think current political policies are helping or hurting working Americans? Let me know in the comments below. If this video opened your eyes to something you hadn't considered before, please share it. The first step to solving any problem is acknowledging it exists. And remember, subscribe to Rukifelo for more content that digs into the real issues affecting real people. Hit that notification bell because we're not afraid to talk about the uncomfortable truths that others won't touch. Until next time, stay informed, stay compassionate, and never stop questioning the narratives we're fed. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out our other videos. So, have a good day.